Well, hi guys, look, I'm back in the galley, kitchen, whatever you want to call it. Today I'm going to cook this pork belly joint on the top of my stove. I'm going to slow cook it and I'm going to try to infuse the flavour with some fresh herbs which I've just picked off the back deck. I didn't take you out there with me because guess what, it's raining, hence I'm in the galley again cooking. I'm bringing this to you today because I keep getting asking, when are you going to do your next cooking video, Trev? So, well, here it is. It's a lovely little winter warmer again, really. It's absolutely beautiful to eat. Now, I've got a pork belly joint today. I do actually think this works possibly better, or is just as well anyway, if you use a boneless, well, in America you call it a pork butt, which is the pork shoulder. So I find it works very, very well with a pork shoulder joint. I always get the boneless ones, and to be honest with you, a boneless pork shoulder is cheaper than the pork belly joint. I bought this yesterday, and see there, it was £6.47. Not a huge amount of money, but it's not a huge piece of meat either, is it? The last one I did, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I bought in Aldi, and I used a pork shoulder joint, or butt joint as I say it's called in America, a boneless one. A little bit bigger than this and a little bit fatter, but not a great deal bigger, but it was just over a £5, and it probably weighed half as much again. So yeah, anyway, we're going to go with this today. So let's start off prepping it. Right, we're going to start off obviously getting it out of the package. Put that to one side. Now we can see it hasn't been scored. Now I could just slice this up and make it into pork belly slices. That would work very, very well as well. But I'm not going to do that. Just flatten it out a bit to make it easier. I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to score it. Score it however you like. I'm just doing it straight lines for simplicity. You could crisscross it. Now, normally after I've scored a piece of meat like this, I'd be doing this to make it go nice and crackly, because I do love pork crackling, but not today. I'm scoring it so it'll take in the flavours more, because we're not going to be crackling up the skin at all today, not really anyway. It's going to be more, it's going to go very soft and tender, and of course we do need to eat some fat in our diet. So that's what I'm doing for that at the moment. Now I'm going to wash it. I'm just going to rinse it under the tap. See all my scores there. There we go. I didn't have the tap run very fast there on purpose, so the water pump wouldn't kick in. So there we have it, back on my chopping board. I'm just going to dry it off. Not only staying a little bit wet, but it's made basically dry. Now we're going to salt it. Just so it sticks a little bit better today, I'm going to use fine sea salt. I'm going to just sprinkle it all over. Quite a lot. Rub it into the skin, get it into those cracks. I'm not putting much on the bottom, just picking up the bits left around here. Don't really need a lot of salt on the bottom there. I wanted it in the skin. Right, so I've now salted that, and I've kept hold of the packaging for a moment. I'm quite simply just going to put that back into the packaging and throw it back in the fridge for about 2 hours so that salt can get into it. Well, I'll be taking the meat out of the fridge in a moment. I've just been prepping a few things up ready to cook it. As I say, I've got my herbs here which I picked or cut a few minutes ago. Well, now it's a couple of hours ago nearly, from my back deck. I've got some garlic and I've got an onion. The garlic, I'm just going to crush a little bit. Just so it releases its flavour a bit easier. That doesn't want to crush, there we go. And the onion I'm just going to cut probably into 4 rings, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've washed the herbs, so they're ready to go. So now I'm going to prep the dish they're going to go into. So here I've just got a cookie sheet, shallow one. I've just lined it with fuel. I've just lined it with foil, and now I'm going to add the herbs. I'm just going to break them down fractionally. I've got lots of thyme here. I love thyme, and it does work very, very well with this dish. Just want it all over the whole dish here. Now the idea of all these herbs is to keep it slightly lifted up off the bottom so it doesn't burn. Now the sage, because it's quite strong, I'm just going to rip the odd leaf off around and scatter them around. I've only used one from the sage. It's a lot stronger flavour than thyme. But the whole lot can go in there. And the same with the rosemary. I'm just going to break it into little pieces and put it around. The dish, like so. The garlic, once again, just going to scatter it around. And the onion too. Now the onion I'm going to place like 4 pieces here, and the meat's going to sit directly on top of that onion, so you know it's not going to burn on the bottom. We're just going to really cook this meat as tender as we can, and I do like crispy bits sometimes, but this is not the dish for it. So let's go and get the meat back. So there's my base ready. Here's my meat. It's dripping a little bit. Where I've added all that salt is now quite wet, so I'm now going to wash that off again. Remove most of that salt. Funny enough, I'm going to re-salt it. Right, so I'm just going to clamp that off again. I don't need it too wet. Don't mind if it's a little bit wet now. Now we're going to re-season it again. Not so much salt this time, just a little bit. A bit of salt. I'm still using that fine sea salt. Some freshly ground pepper. Turn it over. Making sure it's laying on top of that onion quite nicely. A little bit more salt. More pepper. Now this is going to take between probably 5 and 6 hours to cook on my stove. Yes, I'm cooking it again on the stove. I'm going to turn it over after a while. Probably turn it twice actually. I'm going to start it this way up, and the fat should start rendering down a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to make sure the fat renders off a little bit more, then turn it back up to finish it. That's the idea anyway. So wrap it up. I'm trying not to split my foil here. I'll keep the foil because I want to make it basically an airtight package. Well, not airtight probably, but somewhere there. So there we go. Onto the fire it goes. As you can see that outside the window there on the canal, it's still raining. It's been raining all morning. Let's go and put this on the fire. This dish I can carry one-handed, so we'll take it up to the fire. It's dark up here. Let's put a light on. So I've just set it on the side there. We're just going to sit there probably for 5 or 6 hours now, but I will take it off a couple of times, check it and turn it over. Well, it looks like I've got another SD card which is not recording sound in some of the sections, so this is going to be a little voiceover for this part. I've just taken it off the stove and it's been on there now for about an hour and a half, so I'm going to turn it over and get it re-prepped back up and put back on the stove for at least another hour and a half before I'll take it off and do the same again. So here goes. Well, as you can see, it's nice and hot, all the steam coming off of it, and of course it's going to steam up the camera lens while I'm doing this. So as I turn it over here, yes, we can't see very much, can we? Just taking off the bits of herbs there off of it, leaving them in the bottom. I'll flip it over, line it back up on the onion there. Or to give the camera lens a quick wipe here, just so we can see what we're doing again. Wipe the lens and fold it back up again and get it back on the stove. Right, it's been about an hour and 3/4. Look at that, looking gorgeous. Time to turn it over again. All steaming up the camera lens again, but it's looking absolutely great. Right, back on the fire again. Well, I think it's cooked now, so we're just going to have a quick look. It's looking very good there. So, onto the chopping board. Yes. Absolutely wonderful. Well, it's a shame this is not smell-o-vision, this camera, because it smells absolutely wonderful. Right, a couple of things I'm going to do here. I'm going to actually crackle the crackling. I'm just going to clean it off a little bit. I'm just going to wipe it off with a paper towel here, just to get the herbs off of it. So we're just going to take the fat off. It's hot still. That'll be easier, a piece at a time. very, very hot. Right, move the meat section out of the way. I'm warming up here some beef dripping and pork lard. So 50-50 of both. It's what I use for frying most things in. As you possibly know from other videos, I don't like using machine oil. Just chopping this up into smallish pieces. Right, so now we're going to put those into the lard. So I've just chopped it all up in all the fat now into smallish pieces. And we're going to put this into our pork lard and beef dripping. It's spitting a bit, it's making a mess of my kitchen here. It should settle down. Must be a bit of moisture still in the fat there. It's settling down there now. We'll just try the pork, see what it was like, I think. I'm just going to take a tiny piece off there. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. Tender as tender as tender. Cut it with a fork. Oh, the flavour's unbelievable. Absolutely wonderful. I'm not actually having it as a meal tonight. I've actually already eaten. It took a little longer to cook than I anticipated. So I've already eaten, so I'm going to actually put this in the fridge and have it for tomorrow. That's why I just have a little sampler there. I was quite surprised how much that actually popped, because it went in there very hot. I didn't expect that, but oh well. What a disaster. Yesterday, it was yesterday, I left you. I was just going to deep fry, or just started deep frying the pork skin to make some crackling with, which was going perfectly okay. Then I had hold of it and I was just giving it a little stir just to mix it up, and there was a big pop, you know, as it does sometimes. Well, it made me jump, and I spilt the whole pan, and I ended up with fat everywhere, all over the tops, all over the cooking. And I spent about the next hour or so cleaning it all up. So I didn't film any of that. I wasn't in the mood for filming, shall we say. Anyway, today we're going to continue with a little dish I'm going to make out of some of it. So let me show you what we've got. So what do we have here? I've sliced up some of the pork. I've also made some lardons here. This was out the cheap misshapen bacon you can buy in many of the supermarkets, and I just chopped some up. I've got an onion here, diced up, and some Savoy cabbage here, which I didn't use quite half of it. It looks like I've used half, but I'd already used a little bit in a stir fry I made the other day. So yes, this is going to be a little snacky sort of lunch. Well, it's not so much of a snack. So I think it's time we got on and made it. So I've got out my deep, I call it a frying pan, skillet, or whatever you want to call it. Quite often these, I think, are called chicken fryers in the US. Comes with a lid. And I've got about a tablespoonful there of beef dripping. Dripping in there. Actually, it's a mixture of dripping and lard. It's about 50-50 of each. So medium I like to cook with quite regular. I'm just going to melt that fat in the pan. It's a bit of a myth that animal fats are bad for you. There's absolutely no proof of it whatsoever. Right, that's my fat now melted. And now I'm going to add the lardons. I've got them in one dish, it was just save dishes really. Let's put those in there. Just start them cooking a little bit. The main reason I put the lardons in is for flavour. It's a smoked bacon, so it should add a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of saltiness. I'm just gently frying those off a little bit. I just want them to start cooking a little bit, because if they get mixed in too much, I don't want them raw. And they're the thickest thing to cook. The cabbage and the onion, really, if it ends up raw, wouldn't matter. And the pork is already cooked. So they've had about 3 or 4 minutes now, just cooking there a little bit. They're not cooked right through yet, but they're almost there, so that's good enough for that at the moment. They're going to carry on cooking anyway, because now I'm going to add the onions. Continue them frying off a little bit. Now I'm going to turn the heat up fractionally. I want the onions to fry and not steam. Right, the onions now are sort of going that, softened texture and going that little bit of sort of opaqueness they do. So now we're going to add our cabbage. And now I'm going to start adding my seasoning. A little sea salt. Some black pepper. I like black pepper. Give it another stir, I don't want it burning. I want it all cooking fairly evenly. Now I'm going to add a teaspoonful of paprika, about 1/4 of a teaspoonful of hot chili powder. That's my own, it is hot. About 1/2 teaspoonful of garam masala, and about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'll turn the heat back down again, stir all that in. It's sticking to the bottom a little bit. I'm just going to add a splash of water just to loosen it up. And I'll throw the lid on. That should now make sure that cabbage is steamed right through. Alright, I think that's all cooked now. Yes, it is. That water's just loosened it all up. Right, let's plate that up. Try and get it so you can see it. It's rather difficult doing this. Do it the other way around, I guess. There we go. Be awkward for me, but that doesn't matter, does it? I'm just going to quickly rinse that pan out. I could have just left it on the heat to dry it out, but I'll do it that way. Now I'm going to take my pork. I'm going to lay my pork in. making sure they're not sticking. Should be enough fat in the pork for it not to stick. I should have really done this with 2 pans, and this would have stayed hotter longer. I should have just got another pan out, but trying to film it all and get 2 pans in shot is not very easy. So for filming purposes, I'm doing it like this. Cook a little bit now. It's bubbling around. Some of the fat's cooking out of that pork. You don't want to overcook it. You just want to give it a little bit of browning. And that's perfect. It's just as I want it. Lovely little bit of browning going on there. That looks good. The smell from the herbs and everything, I cooked all this in yesterday. It's absolutely wonderful, the smell coming off. And that's perfect. Brown now on both sides, so we'll plate it up. So there we have it. That's my pork. Let's try a little bit of that first. The bacon is just giving it a little smokiness, a little bit of chilli in there, just lifts it. And the cabbage has still got a nice crunch. That's good. Let's try a bit of the pork. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. There was sort of 2 dishes out of 1 again, wasn't it? First of all, cooking the belly of pork on the stove top, and then making a dish which I've made occasionally. I do love Savoy cabbage. I do like the stir fries. It keeps that crunch to it. It keeps it, everything in it. And I did it this time with the onion and the bacon lardons and that sort of thing. And I had a little spice to it, just to give it a bit of more of a sort of oriental touch to it, really, more than anything else. And I love spices as well. And seeing as the pork, because I've cooked it with one of those herbs, had quite a lot of flavour to it anyway, I wanted something to complement it with a few spices, and I think it worked very well. So what's next? Well, I don't know. Perhaps in the comments below, you can give me a few ideas of what you would like to see me cook next. It has to be something sensible, and it has to be something well within my price range, of course. I'm not going to go out there and cook Thermidor lobster or anything. Not if I don't like Thermidor lobster. I just can't afford to do it. So that brings me to the end of this video, of course. Of course, a big thank you goes out to all my Patreon, PayPal, Super Thanks, and channel members. And if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe and click the old bell notification button and all options. And if you really like it, do share it with your friends. And leave in the comments, etc. It really does help the old YouTube algorithm. If you click the like button and leave a comment, it really does push YouTube's algorithm to show my videos to more people, which of course would help me a great deal in promoting my videos and getting my message out to more people. Well, that just leaves me to say, thanks very much for watching. Trevor out.